trying to match my game today, too.
Me?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Trying to match up on me.
Oh, I called you this morning. I was like, yo, dude.
I wear a lot of black. I don't see you wearing black a lot.
Sam, how often do I wear black?
I'll have to check
Oh.
the history.
Actually, I have I have all the videos up right now.
Black or gray? Black, gray, or white? Black, gray,
white, gray, gray,
black,
black,
gray,
blue,
black, black, gray, white. Look, black and white stripe,
right.
gray, gray, black, black, white.
Start calling you Nicole Black.
Right? Well, or white. It's fine.
This is Byron Lazine and Nicole White, and you are tuned in to episode 35 of The Real Word.
35.
It is. It is episode 35.
I feel good about it when we hit those, like, numbers.
I feel like every week we hit a number. You feel good about every number. Nicole's a big fan of numbers.
I'm a big fan of the numbers.
We've got part 3 of the independent contractor conversation coming up. Mm-hmm. Before we get into that, you wanted to give a little shout out.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Oh,
so
I feel like I can't slaughter. I'm going to slaughter her name. So I'm going to.
Danny.
No, Danny. Yeah.
From Inman.
No, I'm talking about her last name. So Danny from Inman was gracious enough to give me a free subscription to Inman because she was sick and tired of hearing the fact that I could not get into it. So as a thank you to Inman, well, I'm saying thank you now. So thank you, Danny. I really appreciate it. Whomever is watching that does not have a current subscription to Inman, if you guys leave your names or a comment like you want it, give me a high five, do something. We are going to pick one of our followers to get a free subscription on us.
On Nicole.
It will be on me. I will pay for it since I'm getting mine for free. I'm paying it forward. So leave me a comment below if you want it, or if you know someone, tag someone, and I will let the lucky winner know next week.
Wherever you're seeing or listening to this, drop a comment.
Please.
If you want an Inman subscription.
Happy to pass it,
really
paying it forward. I love
really
it.
good information. I mean, super great information. The last Racket, when we get to Gary Keller, that's all Inman article
Oh, yeah.
there.
Well, it's fun because I was only ever able to read like the first paragraph, and then
now you can see the whole
thing. So thank you, Danny. Thank you, Inman. I appreciate that.
That last Racket's going to be ridiculous too.
Yeah, I can't wait.
If you just want to forward across, you can do that. But let's get into our
don't do that.
Let's get into our independent contractor part 3.
Yes.
If you didn't see episode 33, 34, go check them out. That's when we started this independent contractor conversation. Tell them let's refresh in case you don't want to go all the way back to 33.
Yeah.
What's the ABC test? And then we're going to give you guys our opinions on if we as real estate agents are independent contractors.
Right.
Give them the ABC
so they're saying
test
there's 3 factors known as the ABC test. A. Ooh, are you sure you don't want to read? I feel like I'm stealing your thunder here by reading.
No, go ahead.
You're good with it?
I'll butcher everything, so go ahead.
A, that the worker is free from the control and direction of the hiring entity in connection with the performance of the work, both under the contract for the performance of the work and in fact. And B, that the worker performs work that is outside the usual course of the hiring entity's business.
Yep.
Which is important,
mm-hmm.
and that the worker is customarily engaged in an independently established trade, occupation, or business of the same nature as the work performed.
And see, B makes no sense to me.
Mind-blowing.
You're not doing other work. Like, you're not out there selling, fruits and vegetables on the side.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there are definitely real estate agents that have other businesses. So let's just take it from your perspective. Nicole White, real estate broker in Connecticut.
Yes.
Brokerage license.
Yes.
Held under a big top 10 country, real estate brokerage firm.
Right.
In terms of volume.
Yep.
Have your own LLC, one in company real estate.
Right.
Within that company.
Right.
Are you an independent contractor?
Well, I certainly signed.
Don't ride the fence on it.
I certainly signed a form saying that I was an independent contractor. Yes. Am I one? After reading that, I have no flipping idea. It's a very interesting article, though. I think we linked it in 33 because it's actually talking about the fact that there is this big lawsuit about wages, and because we are real estate agents working for a real estate company, we're not technically independent contractors because we're working within the same like trade.
If you look at the ABC test,
if you look at the ABC, yeah. I mean, it's really interesting. It goes back and forth about how it could actually probably clear out a lot of agents, because if there's going to be a minimum wage put on us, like if we're going to be paid a minimum wage, obviously that agent would then have to bring in a certain amount of money to justify the minimum wage that they're being paid. I think it would actually be kind of fun to see that all happen. I'll be honest. I am an independent contractor. I would prefer to work as an independent contractor. I mean, I do work as one.
And you feel as though you are one.
I do feel as though I am one, yes.
So, and we did give that stat out last show that the average agent would have to outproduce what the current average agent produces in this industry for it to make sense for a company to treat them as an employee, right? For these brokerages.
My God, can you imagine being an employee? Although you brought up a really good point though last time too, because you talked about like floor duty and like.
I'm going to get into that.
Okay.
So
sorry, I didn't mean
so just to give everybody clarity, Nicole and I, same LLC, one in company under what is called William Ravis Real Estate. And we're both licensed brokers. That being said, William Ravis is our broker on record.
Right.
I 100% feel like and practice independent contractor status. I am an independent contractor.
You practice it?
I practice it, whatever you want to call it.
Look at you, I practice law.
In fact, I am an independent contractor.
In trade.
100%. I am.
Yes.
That being said, I don't believe that every agent out there has it like I have it, like we have it.
Right.
Meaning we're sitting in our own office where we took out the lease. We don't go back to our manager, on things. We utilize her. She's a great resource for us, but we don't go back to her with really much of anything throughout the week, right?
No.
We certainly don't go to the office for floor time or meetings
or training
or tours or training. And doesn't mean we don't want to. We kind of do our own stuff internally.
Right.
So I think the way that we operate can be much different than a new agent going to brokerage X that is, getting information from their manager. Hey, you should be here doing this in the office.
Right.
Are you doing floor time? We need someone to fill floor time.
Or like the agents that are actually being hired. I know that there's some agents too, like that the company actually hires them to like be
like a trainer.
Yes.
Hey, we're gonna make you.
Yes.
We're gonna make you the office trainer on technology.
There's technology ones. I was talking about more being like an agent to agent one, but there are technology trainers too.
Or we're gonna give you the right to train on lead generation. They give you the certain agents fancy titles within the office. What they're compensated, if anything, it would vary from brokerage to brokerage.
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully they just get a bigger split. But like you're technically then like an employee because you're having to go to training. I mean, you're required to go to meetings to get trained on the technology. I don't know. That's gray area there.
So I think that the way the traditional brokerages run with floor time being not mandatory but quote unquote mandatory for the agents. You go to Greenwich, Connecticut, by the way.
Yeah.
You can't even do deals in that brokerage community. I mean, you want to talk about a racket before we get to the rackets?
Okay.
That whole way of doing business is a racket. Those agents won't even do deals with you unless you are consistently going on the home tours. Go to a broker open house in Greenwich. 50 to 100 people show up because every agent feels like they have to because you'll get blackballed out of that community. Well, there are certain things you have to do.
There's lots of different things that happen down there, though, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's a lot of gray areas. You get into some of these really competitive offices. If you're not showing up to the meeting, and by the way, of course, not producing. If you're producing, you can kind of get away with anything. But if you're doing both of those things, you're going to get let go, right? So it's like you don't have an option, right? You better do these things that they're suggesting or you're going to get let go. And I think that's where one day, one of these cases, somebody's going to win.
Yeah.
Right? Like they've lost a lot.
You can like be let go. I actually didn't get hired by a brokerage that I interviewed with.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
They didn't.
Right?
They didn't want me.
Yeah. That's a comment below if that's a shocker.
Sorry.
Anyways, let's get into the rackets.
Wow. And Ron.
All right, racket number 1.
The first racket.
This is your racket. Why don't you let them know what it is?
Pull up. You're in charge of the articles.
All right, I'll pull it up.
So this is a Realtor Mag article.
Of course it is.
Sorry. So we're talking about the ideal age for first timers to buy.
The ideal age. The perfect age.
When did you buy?
I bought at 19.
Byron was
which was
19.
not the perfect age for me. I made a lot of mistakes. When
I was 24. I was 24.
Is there an ideal age for someone to buy a home?
So I did a quick little poll on my personal Facebook page last night. I actually got some really great feedback. It was fun. People love to share, which I love when people share because I can pretty much figure out where everybody lives too because they told me like what cities, not just ages. But what did we get? We averaged it out. It was 25.86
out of your poll.
Out of my poll, which is like, clearly the right answer.
How many people there?
I think I got like 145.
That's a decent sample size from a Facebook community.
Yeah.
I mean, this poll here that the Realtor Mag is going off of is literally just 1,001 respondents from a bankrate.com report.
And the age was?
28.
28 years old.
Was their magical age.
Which, again, a Realtor Mag, they said that the last 2 years, their average age was 35. So it's interesting. Again,
32.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was 35. 32.
Yeah, NAR median age for first-time homebuyers was 32. So that
they're doing median.
That was the median age.
Obviously, median is a little bit different. I was doing an average. I didn't do a median.
But this is more of what people think they should do, which I'm calling this a huge
biggest racket.
One of the biggest rackets because
biggest.
Because if you're going to buy a house off of what people think
right.
you're already a loser.
Well, but that goes along with all of it. I mean, I feel like, you go to college, you're supposed to, and then when you get out of college, you're supposed to get like engaged, and then when I got engaged, I bought a house, and then, hey, we got married.
Can't be engaged without a house.
Can't, and then like, gosh, like I can't, but I bought a condo, so it was like, oh, we want a family, so like we had to sell the condo to like buy the house to like.
Yeah, this is a total racket. This is when you should buy a house. When you know, Know. K-N-O-W, when you know for sure that you're going to be there for an extended period of time.
Right. Well, you're talking about a single family. You're talking about strictly single family homes.
I'm only talking single family homes. I'm not talking multifamilies that pay you income.
Right,
I'm not
You're
talking about
a single family home
flip.
For your own comfort.
When you are going to buy a single family home for shelter, because when you move in there, that's ultimately what you're doing. You're buying dirt and wood for shelter, and as opposed to renting it from somebody else. This is just breaking it down to the basics for you guys. If you don't know,
Byron loves homeownership.
I love it. Absolutely. There's a lot of profit in it. You 100% should not do it until you know you're going to be there for a long time. Because here's the thing. The smartest people in real estate, the smartest of all of them, can't tell you where the market's going to be in 3 years. They will not be able to do it.
Right.
So if they can't predict where the market's going to be in 3 years, and if you don't know where you're going to live in 3 years, don't pull the trigger. Just keep renting. Stay nimble until you know, this is where I'm raising my family. My kids are going to go here the next 20 years.
Right.
Whatever that situation might be. Then you pull the trigger.
And it's interesting because there were a lot of comments on there that were like, oh, like I bought it at 19 or 20. I didn't even know what I was signing. Or, hey, I bought one at 19, like stupidest mistake ever. Like I lost it at 21. But then again, you get some others. Again, it's interesting though, because I think maybe I'll do a poll next time on when did they buy it? Because obviously it really depends on the time, like the year. You know?
If you bought it in 2005 and
it's
needed
very
to move
different than like 1978. Them saying like, hey, I bought it at 24 and it was the best decision of my life.
Exactly.
I mean, obviously completely different markets. So,
and if you don't know that you're going to be in that area, you need to know this. You need to know the community. You need to know that you're in that deal for a long time and you're going to be willing to rent it if you have to leave. Like you just have to know what you're getting into. You have to know that the grass is going to grow every week. Like the snow is coming in the winter. The pipes will eventually leak. That, you're going to have to change out windows. That the roof will not last forever. That the furnace needs to get serviced and cleaned every year. If you have a septic tank, that it needs to get pumped every 2 years. You need to know these things, and you need not just know them. you need to understand that somebody you pay is going to have to do the work if you want to hold your equity and your value in your house, no matter what the market does.
For sure. So that the 10-year-old older version of yourself isn't ticked off at the 10-year younger version. But so that was a racket, but that was fun. I really appreciate everybody that sort of took part in my mini poll.
So racket number 2.
Yes.
There are cities in America today that will pay you to relocate into those locations.
The coolest part about it was that we actually live in a state that has a city that is participating in this racket.
This is another Realtor Mag article. Here are the cities that they identified: Burlington, Vermont; Marne, Iowa; if anyone's heard of that; New Haven, Connecticut;
Holla.
Baltimore;
Harmony,
Minnesota; Hamilton, Ohio; and Ludington, Michigan.
I mean, these are all over the board. I mean, there's one that's giving you a free piece of land. There's someone that's giving you $10,000 in moving costs. I actually think that New Haven is giving you the most. There's like $80,000 incentives, and I mean, there's also
Ludington will give a small business annual contest that awards an entrepreneur with $50,000 for their startup idea. You have to move your business, obviously, to Mason County.
It's crazy.
What was New Haven given? Because that's local.
There was an $80,000 incentive for new homeowners, including $30,000 for energy-saving home upgrades, $10,000 in interest-free loans for the first-time buyer, and $40,000 for college tuition to any in-state college. Dude. I mean, Connecticut's rocking. I mean, this is the place to go.
Everybody should come to New Haven.
Absolutely.
Nicole White just double-ended a deal there. Some dual agency stuff.
Voila.
You know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely. So is it a racket? Are they smart to do this?
I when I read the article, yes, I thought it was a complete and utter racket. But I'll be honest, I mean, why not? Burlington is giving you, or I think they're giving you like some money to put towards like a workspace, so that if you don't live there, you can actually then work there and sort of do this. I think it's not a horrible gig. I mean, it's at least they're thinking outside of the box. I mean, instead of just sitting there dormant, wondering when are people coming back to my state, when are people coming back to my town, poor us, woe is me, because of, again, it could probably be happening for multiple reasons. But
I don't know about these other communities, but here's why it's a racket in Connecticut.
Racket.
Because until you and I read the article, and we're licensed real estate brokers in Connecticut. Yep. Did you know about the New Haven deals? Hello, New Haven. This is a total racket. You're trying to give away $80,000 in incentive to new homeowners, but yet your top agents don't know about it. And don't give me this crap that the board sent out some newsletter that I was supposed to read and not delete, because I'm deleting that every time. You need to hire a marketing firm. Do whatever it takes to push this message out.
The city should be absolutely yes.
And over the top, as opposed to giving out incentives, why don't you guys just do that as towns? Hire marketing firms to put your message out there on social media as the town, right? That's going to attract more people if your town's actually good enough.
Do you know that I actually am working, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm working with a buyer right now that is moving here from New Jersey. She's moving to a town that she saw highlighted at the Olympics.
Dude, there
was Olympians, and they highlighted the town, and she wanted to live there. I mean, hello, it works.
That type of storytelling is going to be so much more impactful than it's the same thing when a seller says to you, "Hey, do you think we should? I'll give my car to the agent that brings us a deal. Let's do a buyer agent incentive here. I'll give him a car, or I'll give him a cruise trip.
A cruise
that never, ever, ever works, and this won't work either." Market the attributes and the features and what people love about your town on places like Instagram, on places like LinkedIn. I think giving away a free
piece of land probably would work.
If you give it away, they will come. I can guarantee you that. Yeah, that's a total racket. 2 rackets for me.
So fun. Oh, I feel like we should have it should be like America, not American Idol. What is that other one? America's Got Talent, where there's like X's. And it's like,
we should keep track of our rackets.
We should.
I've got
That's
2
what
rackets. What do you got? How many rackets do you got?
Although, don't include that hand gesture.
Oh, boy. I can only imagine. Yeah, we should do something like that.
We should.
Yeah, a little racket launch pad here on the table.
Yeah.
All right, racket number 3. Gary Keller slams real estate startups at the Inman Connect in San Francisco.
I'm sorry we missed it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Danny, what's up with the invite there?
She's just giving out subscriptions, but
should have been on one of these fireside chats. Essentially what happened was Brad Inman wanted to do a sit-down interview like this with Gary Keller.
And Gary Keller is Keller Williams. Just
on stage.
Don't happen to know.
And so Gary Keller wouldn't take a seat. He wanted to stand. How awkward would that be if you were standing right now?
I feel like,
and I was sitting down asking questions.
See, I actually would want to participate in one of those. I would want to go to one of those. I would sit there and sit for one of those.
I want to read a little bit of the back and forth that happened. So if you weren't at Inman Connect in San Francisco.
Ooh, but if you were and you were there, I want to hear from them.
Absolutely. If you were
there.
Tell
us, how did you feel? Did you feel like you cut it with a knife? Was it funny? Was it maybe it really wasn't a big deal, as much of a big deal as they're saying here?
I don't know. I saw a lot of stuff
it's like fake news.
Online. No, this is not fake news.
No?
I saw a lot of stuff online. Andrea Brambilla wrote the article. We're going to link that up as we always do. But here's a couple of the punchlines. Keller says if Glenn Kelman, CEO, obviously Redfin, could run his business without agents, he would. If he tells you otherwise, he's lying. He added that the reason he and Inman sometimes clash is because Inman treats such companies, talking about Open Door and Redfin and stuff like that, as disruptors when all they want to do is reduce the agent's income by 30% or more. Inman says if they deliver on the volume of transactions, Keller immediately interrupted. He noted that Gary Keller himself wrote a book on lead generation. Inman replied, "How many think Gary's book is as relevant today as when he wrote it?" So that got a little chuckle out of the crowd. Inman says, "My audience has a higher income." This was after actually Keller responded that the audience should have to include their own income in their answer. And Inman said his audience has a higher income than Keller's community because of what they paid to get here. So a lot of this got a little bit touchy for sure. I mean, Keller obviously they were trying to joke about it. Inman said, "I hope we're gonna be friends." Keller says, "I like your shoes" to Inman, so it got awkward to say the least.
I like your shoes too, by the way. Those are
Thank
new
you.
ones.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, they're good.
Those are the
black ones.
sneakers.
Yeah.
Maybe
I like the brown ones better though.
We'll link that. I should get an affiliate link on Amazon. We can link that up.
There it is.
We're not doing that. Amazon. They start getting into Amazon, that kind of stuff. They circled back to EXP, and so Inman asks Gary Keller.
Two agents. There was 2 agents that recently left there or started EXP.
There's been a lot of agents.
No, I know.
The founders of EXP, came from Keller
Williams. Yeah.
So Inman asks, "Does EXP scare you? Does anyone scare you?" Keller says no. And he says, "By the way, Glenn," or Inman says, "By the way, Glenn speaks highly of you." Keller just, "Love it. Great. Good for him. I don't care." Glenn was the founder of EXP. And he even went on to say that some of these agents that have received over $1 million in commission from Keller Williams, the commission sharing, should return it to the brokers. So no love lost there from Gary Keller to EXP.
There was a decent wrap up though at the end where they just pretty much said, like you've been saying from the very beginning, like commission compression, it's something that's coming.
It.
Yeah, no, and they talk about, and they're just saying that this is all what's going to have to happen in order to.
Here's what's interesting that continuously keeps happening. When I went to the Swanepoel Summit earlier in the year, the traditional brokerages continue, like Gary Keller did, like local brokers have done.
They peacock a little?
They continue to just brush off these startups like Open Door, like what Zillow's doing, like Redfin, like even EXP, who went public on the NASDAQ and seemed to be doing fine recruiting 1,000 agents, I think, a month. They're recruiting a ridiculous amount of agents right now that are transitioning over. They continue to brush this off as a non-factor. And they continue to say, we've seen this before. I disagree. You haven't seen this. And Stefan Swanepoel certainly disagrees. And he has no dog in the fight. He's just doing research.
Right.
You haven't seen this kind of money backed by VCs who have more of it enter the market like they are today. These are disruptors for a reason. The reason Gary Keller is getting so emotional is he knows there's legitimacy behind it. And if every big box brokerage acts the way Gary Keller did on stage at Inman, you will see a couple of them go bankrupt. You will see a couple of them drop when the next wave hits and the market drops. There are going to be dramatic changes, I believe, on the next downturn in real estate, because that's going to be the opportunity for technology to take over. I'm disappointed in Gary Keller's response because I'm a big Keller Williams fan.
You are.
I am and I am a big Keller Williams fan.
You like the Kool-Aid.
I like the Kool-Aid. I've never worked for.
Ooh, that was a little slip.
Independent contractors there? I don't know. I've never been associated with Keller Williams. I got a lot of friends over there. I really think highly of the brokerage.
Yeah.
But I think he's being extremely naive. You should, and I'm the same way. I always say, you know what, we have no competitors. It's all the time in the day.
Maybe he was a little hangry. Maybe he didn't eat lunch.
Could have been.
I feel like maybe he needed lunch.
Are you getting hangry right now?
I don't know. I mean, it's almost. I mean, I do get hangry when I need lunch. Sounds like he needed lunch. Like he wasn't sitting. I feel like he was just.
Maybe he had to go to the bathroom really bad.
I mean, something was going on there. I feel like it was like, because I mean, to be that like I mean, that was like, woo, like as a professional.
It just shows you how much there's a lot more happening than what he's willing to admit. So I'd be careful. This is not a. I mean, is this a racket or not? His response is a total racket, but what's coming is not a racket. So so you definitely need to be prepared for that.
So it's just like it's like a halfer. Like you're voting half. Half. It's a half a racket.
What are you doing? What's your vote?
This one's a difficult one just because I don't really know what we're really voting on. Like, is it his response?
Let's vote on his response. I think his response is a racket.
Absolute racket. But you know what? It's a fun racket because the phone's blowing up over it. I mean, there's reactions coming everywhere from this guy that wouldn't sit while he was hungry. I mean, poor guy.
It's ridiculous. All right. If you want the free Inman subscription,
gotta leave a message, please.
Put a comment. Say we want the Inman subscription. We're gonna pick one. We'll announce it next week. Nicole's flipping the bill. That's 1 year of Inman content direct to your inbox.
You're welcome.
On Nicole White.
Holla.
Today, Nicole Black. See ya.